All right, guys, welcome back to Full Circle with Joyce. Right now, we're jumping into our viewpoint discussion, and we want to talk about the leadership crisis in Kenya. We're taking a look at the political scene. What is happening? Why is it that we can't seem to find our bearing? We still have so many issues coming to the fore in this country, and it's holding us back. It's holding back our citizens, it's holding back our economy, and we need to talk about it, and that's exactly what we're set to do this morning. Joining me in studio at the far end there, I have Gerald Mwangi Ole Walterfang, who's a leadership and governance consultant. I also have with me Vincent Kimosop, who's a political analyst. Karibuni sana to the show.
Thank you very much, Joyce.
All right, so the old and tired question has always been about whether or not we elect the right leaders. And I believe, Gerald, you've actually spoken on that before. And a lot of Kenyans are actually, quietly discussing that in their homes, in their chamas, in their neighborhoods. There is this pain of government, because even where we have thought we've made right decisions, somehow they get in there and we still get disappointed. So is it safe to now say that we have a crisis of leadership generally in Kenya, or what would you say?
We can accept that statement fully, given the track record that we have seen in the country. And I like starting off at one of the quotes by John Maxwell that says, everything rises and falls with leadership. Now, leadership is about influence, and leadership is about inspiration. But leadership also is learned, and leadership can be trained. And leadership also encompasses issues of values, and it also encompasses issues of ethics and integrity. The question then becomes, who is inspiring those issues upon the leadership that we are electing? Who is training those leaders that we are electing? And who is monitoring the quality of those leaders that we are electing? So yes, there is a crisis of leadership. There are far in between exemplary leaders in this country, but that now has become an exception as opposed to being a norm based on something that we ought to have as a matter of fact.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you agree? Is there a crisis in leadership, and it's stemming from who is training our actual leaders right now?
I think when we look at leadership, it is important to appreciate that leadership is not only in the political. So there is so much focus on leadership in the political space, yet you really have leadership being exemplified in different areas. I'll give an example. Safaricom, for example, is the leading private company and most profitable in the region. That is something they've been able to attain as a result of leadership in the private sector. You have, let me say, faith-based organizations that actually have demonstrated exemplary leadership and made a difference. The same thing to families, to the media houses. So what we have made a mistake is to reduce leadership to only the political front. Now, the reason why that has happened is because of the ramification of what those who are in political leadership have on the entire scope. So, but when we are talking about leadership, my definition of leadership is, if you are able to inspire others to believe in themselves, that they can do more, achieve more, and be better, that is leadership. What we are lacking then, therefore, as a country, is that we are lacking people who are able to inspire greatness in us, to believe in our potential, and to do and to be more in the political space. Now, why have we done that? Is because we have glorified, for example, ill-gotten wealth. We have celebrated wrong values. So I would say that we don't have a leadership crisis in the political front, is because we are getting exactly what we deserve, a reflection of who we are. So it's what we have in the political front is a reflection of the values we would want. Today, if I want to run for a political post, I have ran for a political post, and I can tell you, Joyce, one of the things that you will hear is that it's no longer about what you will do and the difference you will make, but what will I get as a person. So then what thrives is what you call merchant leadership. It becomes like an auction. The person who is able to bribe more, the person who is able to corrupt more, the person who is able to buy the busa and the changa more, that is where the conversation is happening. Because ask yourself, and names withheld,
Yes, please.
We are in Nairobi, a population of 5 million people by day and 4 million in the evening. And just look at, this is the capital that hosts UN. It is on the same status as Vienna, New York, Geneva, and you just look at the UN cities, and you ask yourself, is Nairobi, the management of the city of Nairobi, for example, is it of the same status as Geneva, or called Vienna and New York? And you don't need to be a skyrocket scientist to say no. Why? Because those whom we have entrusted into leadership have not inspired the quality or the inspiration we would want. And when we're saying, I am not just looking at the political, I'm looking across the board.
Yeah.
That's how I would summarize really the whole issue about leadership. And I'm happy today you've not invited politicians into this show because we are able to say, hey guys, maybe just give a small story. I was
Very
briefly. I chaired a parastatal at the age of 31. And in 2 years, 7 months, we had raised 5.6 billion for the government. We had a score of 4.53 out of 5 under the Mongoza guidelines.
Yeah.
As chair, we had a score of 4.71. So I would say I was seeing other people in the same space who were doing a good job, and they inspired us to do more.
Yeah.
So I would, if we are to make a difference in this space, let us celebrate and profile those who are doing right.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I mean, you've raised so many good, important points there, including the value and how this is a reflection of our own personal values. And that then begs the question of, so how do we fix this? If this is a reflection of who we are, how do we fix it? That's it's a scary thought then, if that is a mirror of who we are. But before we get to that, you just from the example that you shared, 31, heading a parastatal. And, there's a lot of questions today then about young people and leadership and politics, and we've been discussing this throughout the week. And so I'm very curious as far as, maybe we can start with you, Gerald, seeing how young people trying to step up their game. Are we putting up enough effort to take up leadership? Can we handle the challenges that you're saying exist in this space? What's your thought on that?
My thoughts on the youth and leadership is that you must walk the talk. The youth have a great opportunity to change this country.
Yeah.
France, from the history, was changed by the young students who were in campus. Many countries whose changes have come is through university students. Myself, at the age of 19, I was already a president of the Canadian and International Students Association. It's something you work towards so that you prepare yourself for the leadership that is coming. At age 35, had been already been nominated as one of the world African leaders within the public health space. So you prepare yourself for leadership. And leadership, as Kimosop has said, is not only to be thought in terms of political, but every leader needs to be prepared in certain areas. What kind of values do you espouse? What kind of management are you leading?
Yeah.
I may ask you this, Joyce. For years, we are complaining about the politician, but who puts the politician onto the ballot? It's us. Who is the greatest number? 73% of that is the youth, and the ones that can vote, it's already known that about 24% of those are able to help in terms of changing the country.
Yeah.
So the youth being there as the key drivers of a nation are the ones to prepare themselves. Now, how do you prepare yourselves? They are put in positions of practice. Wherever they are, today, I'll tell you something, and as Kimosop also said, without mentioning names, a couple of years ago, I went to speak at my former school, Highway Secondary School, and I went to speak there as a young person to inspire them. And when I stood there, I spoke and gave them what qualities are required of a good leader. When I finished, 2 bold young men stood up and said, Mr. Mwangi, that's excellent. How old are you? And I gave them my age at that point, without fear. They said, but we know of a member of parliament, much younger than you, has already got himself a couple of houses, a couple of cars. Why do I need to go through all that? Well, all I need to do is make a few deals.
Yeah.
So what values are we inspiring on these young people?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think when we talk about young people and leadership, we also need to be careful not to reduce leadership to a number age, because we have very good, we have old people in terms of age who actually model and exemplify leadership.
Yeah.
And also you have very good young people who actually have ideas that are injurious, that are destructive to society.
Sure, sure.
So for me, when I am talking about, let's look, and again, I'm giving examples in the private sector, the positives. Look at the current conversations that you have in the, let me just look at recall Michael Joseph. I'm using this example because it is it's a profitable, even KCB, that it is headed by a young person.
Yeah.
For looking at those examples that you have, if it tells you there is potential. Actually, Joyce, if you read the interview of the Israeli ambassador, I think the exiting one, about Kenya, and he says that we have heaven on earth. We I think the term which is politically acceptable is we have a Canaan in Kenya.
Yes.
But the challenge is that we have promoted a cartelism system. We have we have allowed a patronage culture to actually be detrimental to our issues. Just going all the way to so that we connect with the people.
Yeah.
Look at Wakulima market, for example, the one that is people get fresh produce. You find that there is a group of people who do not allow a farmer who brings their produce to the market to sell.
Yeah.
They only tell you yours is to deliver it to this. From here, leave it to us. When you do your math and you break down, you realize the person who is benefiting is actually this middleman more than the person who has done earlier. So leadership at that level in that market requires to say, excuse me, this is an open space. All you need, it is a meeting between sellers and buyers. Let people get their rightful due. That is leadership at that level. I will not complain to say, oh, Mr. President, I want to do that, but that is not the role of the president. It's a simple market issue. So I would say for young people, is that you shake where you are. You are, I don't know, you are a young person, you shake here at Switch. The kind of programs that you will be able to moderate. Barack Obama says, challenge journalists, it is not the number of tweets, it's not the number of likes that you generate or through your stories, but it is what questions, what ideas, what stories are you promoting that shape and change our thinking towards becoming better, and so that I move out of this station knowing very well that I was given a platform to discuss leadership, we challenged position, we inspired people and made a difference. If it happens from here, you have led.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that certainly is our goal with this Viewpoint segment. And I really want us to dive deeper into what you guys are talking about it being us, and even just at the grassroots, even the example that you've given at Wakulima Market, very direct really, and very relevant to the age in which we're living in. But before I do, and before our break, I want to ask you, obviously in recent headlines, we've been reading about McDonald Mariga, and he, interested in running for the Kibra constituency seat, right? And so what's your take on that? Do you feel that he, to your earlier point about, inspiring people being the ones to sort of take up these ranks, do you feel that for a person of his stature, is that the way to go about it? Or if you were to sort of sit down and counsel and advise him, what do you think of, what's your perception of his candidature right now? And what it means to young people and for leadership in this country?
We promulgated a constitution.
I'm really liking the smile on your face, because
we promulgated a constitution that talked about political rights for everybody to elect and to be elected. So I may not agree with everybody on a certain position, but I will defend their rights to actually to run and let the people of Kibra make the decision. But this is how I'd approach your question. When you listen to the former member of parliament, Ken Okoth, born in Kibra, went to, had a challenging background, but came back to inspire and make a difference in his party, and actually inspired a cross-party celebration and accolades as a legislator, and he made a difference in Kibra. Today, when you talk to members of parliament about who embodies and exemplified what it means to lead young and make a difference. Ken Okoth's name ranks high up there. So you don't need to be a skyrocket scientist to actually ask of the current people who are running in Kibra, who actually comes close or even better. So that is the I would say it is not a question of personality. It is a question of principles. McDonald Mariga, when you were playing football, how many people did you mentor at your level and as a platform when you were a footballer? Because we've had footballers. Nwango Kanu of Nigeria, he had a heart condition. He started the Nwango Kanu to make a difference in the lives of people who would go through his challenge. Samuel Eto'o, Didier Drogba. Tell us your story, because Joyce, tomorrow, and I said we start from here. I have given my example when I was in government, and I can tell you, you can join government, serve right, and move out with your head high. If we are to entrust you with a higher responsibility beyond this position, the question I'll ask when you are at switch, what is it that you did differently that we can entrust you more? So my question to McDonald Mariga, tell us your story. Not only McDonald Mariga, all the other representatives. The person, because you see, when we are going for an election, Joyce, it is an election is a determination of who is better entrusted with our resources, because it's our taxes that they used to do what? To serve us. So if you don't match the bill on what have you done, because it's not about promising what I will do tomorrow. It is where you were, what have you done? Absolutely,
especially because Ken Okoth's shoes are huge to fill.
My comment is anyone has the right to run for any position. My grandmother, my young nephews, whether they are, as long as they are over 18, the question will always remain, what are you bringing on top of the table in regards to the leadership qualities? The history of who you have been from the time you started your nursery school up to the level where you're saying, I am presenting myself to the public to run for office. What have you been able to do? And these small things that we take for granted, you are in the choir, you are in charge, you are in a football team, you are the captain, you are in the estate, you are the one who brought the people together. Those small things are the things that build up into greater leadership. Then I have a question for the public. Why must you wait for us to bring you somebody? Is it that you have lived in a community and not known among yourselves who is a leader and who has been doing what is required for leadership, not only being a leader, but bringing harmony among the community? Because leadership in one area without harmony and peace is absolutely a zero.
Great question there. And Vincent, I have to take a break, but Vincent, certainly your point there about it's not about personality, it's about principle, but also just saying, you know, us as people in this community of ours, as people in this nation, we need to get to a point where we're asking, who is it among us? Who have we seen demonstrate leadership for ourselves, rather than just being brought someone? Very interesting points coming up here. I see your feedback coming in on our SMS line. I'm going to be reading and sharing those shortly as we continue with this discussion on the leadership, perceived leadership crisis, then let me say, in Kenya with my guest here. 22999 is the SMS line. You can also reach us on social media at Switch TV Kenya on Facebook and Twitter, and at Switch TV KE on Instagram. I'll be back in just a bit. All right, welcome back to Full Circle with Joyce. I'm here with my guests, Vincent Kimosop, who's a political analyst, as well as Gerald Mwangi Ole Walter Fang, who's a leadership and governance consultant. We're talking about the leadership crisis in Kenya. Really fascinating discussion we're having, and we're just about to jump back into it. But before we do, let me, as I did mention yesterday, Aladdin is offering a 90% discount when you shop on their clothing or groceries online. Okay, Aladdin is offering a 90% discount when you shop of their clothing or groceries online. As our dear audience on Switch TV, they are giving you an extra discount of 200 Kenya Bob. Okay, and all you need to do to access that is use the coupon code SWH SWH200. SWH200 gives you 200 shillings off as a discount on the Aladdin site. Your goods will be delivered to you within 48 hours of request. So let's get shopping with Aladdin. And thank you once again to all of you guys who are engaging with us and sending in your feedback. I do appreciate every single one of you. Let me get to some of them now. Someone here says, great point there from Mr. Ole Walterfang and Vincent. I have never been one to watch a political discussion, but today I'm learning a lot, and I'm really glad to hear that, because part of our focus with this discussion is to get more young people and women particularly involved and interested in understanding the current affairs and issues that are affecting us. Someone here says, hey Joyce, my name is David from Kitus in Nyangati Ward. You say MCA mtarajiwa wa 2022. Haya basi, asante sana Kirinyaga County. Wasema, you must know that a leader comes from God. Remember the house of Jesse in the Bible, and you must have good behavior because you are chosen. Well, certainly leaders are from God, but I think we're wondering why they're disobeying so hard, probably. Someone here asks, why do Kenyans elect the same leaders? This is a question that comes up a lot, actually. It seems that we have the same sort of personas, same sort of personalities, same sort of character traits in our leaders year after year.
When I am not here, I do political strategy. I actually draft manifestos and do, if you want to run, we can get you there. That is what I do outside as a consultant.
Okay.
Usually in politics, one of the things that happens is that there's something called brand recognition.
Yeah.
Brand recognition and a name recognition. Joyce and Walter Funk, I can tell you, if you go to a supermarket, the likelihood that for monthly shopping, if I write 10 things that even if before I see your till, is that there are certain brands. They are just not because of that you've gone there, read what they have, is because they have been part of your culturing. So name recognition in politics is something you cannot do away with. And that is why if new people who want to get into politics, this is the only way they can get into politics. They normally say that there are many great people outside there, but it takes a great moment for them to be recognized. So the question of timing is very, very important.
Okay.
There are strong brands, like you will find Kenyatas. When you go to a place like Muranga, when you tell people I am from the Kenya, you don't need any introduction. The same to when you go to Nyanza, when you say I am a distant cousin of Odinga, as in you are before
the red
independence.
carpet is rolled out for you.
So yes, it is a good brand. We appreciate it, but it is important, therefore, as the conversation and the engagements goes further, to appreciate, to help people that you can have great people. Look at look at James Mwangi of Equity. It was building a society. Today it's a big bank. You may have I'd mention other examples. Sam McCormick in KCB. You look at there's a gentleman called Eric. He's began I think Palmbridge. They have a framework of supporting young people. Joyce, this, since we're in a media house, if we truly believe in changing and shaping the discussion on politics and this country, our media houses have the opportunity to elevate and provide platforms, so that tomorrow morning, like we are only here in this program, not because of our names, because people have appreciated the insights and the perspective that we bring. Now, so because our name do not precede us, what we do is that then we are able to be listened to and provide dimensions and perspectives.
All right.
A quick one.
Very quickly.
Just in case you're a young person and you say, I don't belong to those categories of names, and majority will be there, is that what you do will bid you to become what you want. Obama was not known. Obama was nowhere on the radar of America. Even when he was a senator, he was the least people thought would be coming in. But because of his hard work within the community, they saw what he was doing, they saw what he stood for. When it came to time for an alternative, because there will come a time when people require an alternative, and that time is fast coming, then the ones who are prepared are the ones who will take the platform.
People will come and say that we have consulted internally and Joyce is the right. It is that is the only platform for people who don't have such background. That's why it is very good to be wherever you are. As I said, check where you are. Your time will come. And then also, as I said, intention is very important. If you're interested in becoming, stealing, earning more and everything, you will not go far. If look, we won. Some of us were not born before. What is it? This gentleman, Tom Mboya. But if you go to the legislature today, we've had like maybe close to 1,000 people who've gone through our parliament. But you will names like Tom Mboya go up there. Names like Jeremiah Jem Kariuki. You will have
Wangari
the gentleman.
Maathai.
Every time you have a story on Mao, it is it is incomplete without mentioning Wangari Maathai there. So so for and we don't want to say much. Like today, we are able to have that conversation, and where certain things are mentioned in this country, it is incomplete without putting your name there. So where are you? And what are you doing where you are at, so that when your time to shine comes, what happens? We're able to say.
And you have a CV behind you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Absolutely. All right. Great points there. Someone here says, hey, Joyce and the panel, I'm Kelvin Mushiri. I believe 100% that youth can change the society and the country at large. But I have a question. How do we deal with the increased, youth deal with the increased leadership by those believed to be successful in life? He calls them rich kids, therefore not getting the low income ones, or those still struggling to have a chance to show their capabilities. Great question there, Kelvin. Certainly there's that question of patronage that had come up, nepotism. There's a way that indeed certainly money talks in this country. And his question is, if I don't even have that money, because and you would know, Vincent, because you've been in government and political affairs, ka una pesa huwezi kimbia.
But you see, that's what I've just shared a few minutes and saying, when you want to go for a battle, you need to count the cost, and you realize, by the way, to run for a political office, you require money. Now, if you don't have the money and you want to make a difference, the question will be, what are the other options? I have not been to Parliament, but I have worked towards getting over 5 legislations through Parliament, because I've now mastered the system on how to get things happen. When a legislation goes through Parliament, it impacts 40 million people. It's that issue of where I am. It's not just about being a politician. It is when you are on that platform, what kind of influence will I have? I'll tell you, you've just cited Barack Obama, but I can tell you the people who supported Barack Obama included David Axelrod, who identified him in 1992 and saw the potential. David Plough, who actually put in a proper campaign strategy that actually worked against the democratic establishment. So at times we should also appreciate that it is not just
it's not
Joyce,
about an individual
who is ahead. For us to deliver this show, there is a lot of people behind the scene who are making the show successful. If it succeeds, it becomes successful. I would say and challenge that young man who is saying that I want to run, I don't have money. What are you doing in the community? Are there orphaned children? Are there, there's this young man who was elected just out of the university, and he did not even have a car. So they are already encouraging stories that show that money is not everything.
Okay, gentlemen, my time is running out. That music there is my cue, my cue to end it. But what a fantastic conversation. I think we'll have so much more to discuss on it. Let me just very quickly read out some final SMSs here. Great topic of discussion. I think leadership in Kenya is a joke. The people put in positions are taking advantage of young Kenyans. We should give way to young leaders. Caroline, you're also watching us from Juja. And Cynthia from Ruaka, asante sana. You guys are saying the show is lit. Asanteni sana, gentlemen, for your time. Gerald, also Ole Walter Fang as well. Vincent, tunawashukuru sana sana. We will need to have you both back. Clearly, our time is far gone. But coming up next, I need to bring in our couch as we get ready for our second hour of Full Circle with Joyce. This is our lifestyle hour, and today we're talking about health and wellness. As I did mention, we're going to have the founder here of PCOS Kenya, as well as we're going to be talking about thyroid disease later on in the show. Please do stay tuned. So much more coming up right next on Full Circle with Joyce.